Whitney Houston, 3 Songs of True Power. Whitney Houston's voice didn't simply carry melody or technique. It carried presence, love, and intention. It carried a kind of spiritual clarity that moved straight through the intellect and into the body, the heart, the nervous system. There are voices that impress, and then there are voices that open something. Whitney's voice was not only powerful, it also gave access to something eternal, something beyond the words, and paradoxically, something beyond the voice itself. You didn't just hear Whitney, you felt met by her, or rather, by something much bigger than her. In this episode, we explore the spiritual and mystical dimension of Whitney Houston's work, what her voice transmits, what it holds, and why so many people describe it as healing, elevating, or divinely connected. You probably know Whitney Houston's music, but you may not fully understand why it reaches so deep, why it touches you the way it does. Let's dig in. Whitney Houston, a voice rooted in spirit. Whitney's connection to something higher didn't come out of nowhere. She was raised in gospel. Church wasn't a genre for her. It was a frequency she grew up inside. Before Whitney's global fame, she was immersed in sacred music, communal singing, and an understanding that a voice is not about self-expression alone, but about service, about lifting others. That grounding never left her. Even when she sang pop, love songs, and soundtracks, there was always a sense that her voice was aligned, centered, upright, clear, almost prayerful in its precision. She didn't oversing to dominate. What came through was a pure expression of what she had to give. And she gave us the best of her. Number 1, My Love is Your Love, the greatest love of all. My Love is Your Love is often heard as a relationship song, but that reading only touches the surface. At its core, the song speaks about a steadfast relationship with God, higher power, a love so secure that circumstances no longer define safety, worth, or belonging. When Whitney sings about having nothing, about the possibility of needing to sleep at Grand Central Station, she's not expressing desperation. She's articulating a radical spiritual certainty. If God is with me, I am not abandoned. Love, in this context, is not transactional and not fragile. It's foundational. The message is simple, almost mantra-like, but it is not naive or trivial. Love isn't something to be negotiated or protected through control. It is something already secured through divine alignment, a constant, not a condition. Whitney delivers this message without emotional excess. There is no pleading in her voice, no dramatic grasping. What comes through instead is steadiness, groundedness, the calm assurance of someone who knows where her support comes from. That tone matters. The calm confidence in her tone suggests devotion rather than desire, faith rather than fantasy. This is why so many listeners feel comforted by the song without fully understanding why. It transmits safety, this sense that you are held, even when external structures fall away. That love endures not because circumstances cooperate, but because its source is unshakable. Number 2, step by step, trusting the path. Step by Step carries one of the most profound messages in Whitney Houston's catalogue. It doesn't announce itself as a song about faith, yet it embodies faith through posture rather than proclamation. At its core, the song speaks about patience, but it's not about being passive, but full of trust. Trust in growth that unfolds over time. Trust in movement that doesn't offer certainty. Trust in the idea that you're not asked to see or figure out the entire path. Instead, remain present with the next step placed before you. This is a deeply spiritual orientation. Across many wisdom traditions, faith is not defined by clarity of outcome, but by willingness to walk without guarantees. Step by Step reflects that orientation. Whitney's delivery is exceptional as usual. Her voice is steady, grounded, and encouraging without urgency or insistence. She doesn't sound like someone claiming mastery or offering instruction. She's one of us. She sounds like someone who has learned to lean into the process, someone who understands that movement itself can be an active faith. That is why the song sounds like a godsend for people during moments of transition, during times of uncertainty, change, loss, or quiet rebuilding. The song doesn't push, it doesn't rush, it doesn't demand resolution. Instead, it stays with you, matching your pace. There is a spiritual maturity in that restraint, the ability to accompany rather than direct, to walk beside rather than ahead. Step by Step offers reassurance not by promising arrival, but by affirming movement. So, trust the process, that growth unfolds gradually, that you don't need to see the whole picture, only the next step, and then the next one, and the next one. Number 3, when you believe, about real faith. When You Believe, from the Prince of Egypt, is a song about hope and perseverance. Yet, the heart of the song is a faith cultivated from within, one tested and strengthened by challenge, doubt, and the careful navigation of life's uncertainties. Whitney Houston performed this song with Mariah Carey in a duet that became legendary. Two powerful voices merging not to compete, but to elevate the message. Their collaboration highlighted the song's essence. Faith, shared and experienced together, transcending individuality. Whitney's voice in this song is luminous, yet restrained. She doesn't dramatize or dominate. Instead, she allows each note to breathe, each phrase to unfold naturally. There is humility in her phrasing, as if her voice itself is listening while it sings. This creates a space where the listener can meet the song in their own experience, rather than being told what to feel. This is crucial. True spiritual expression doesn't declare certainty. It doesn't insist or demand. It leaves room for mystery. There is tension between hope and doubt, longing and patience. That Whitney and Mariah navigate effortlessly, and in that space transformation occurs. Because of this, the song resonates across cultures, religions, and backgrounds. It doesn't prescribe a path. It models faith as a living, breathing presence, capable of sustaining the human spirit, even when the way forward is unclear. Belief in Whitney Houston's hands and through her voice is not an abstract concept. It is tangible, felt, and gently transformative. Other songs and examples. You can hear the same spiritual transmission in many of Whitney's performances and songs. For example, I Love the Lord, where her gospel roots come fully forward, not as performance, but as testimony. Greatest Love of All, often interpreted as self-empowerment, but deeply rooted in self-recognition and inner worth. I Will Always Love You, not clinging or longing, but release with grace and dignity. Miracle, which speaks to hope, love, and the power of choice. In each case, what moves people isn't just the vocal power, it's the expression of something much, much deeper. It's about where the voice and its power is actually coming from. It's not about the talent or the artist, but about their source. Whitney Houston's voice as transmission. There's a reason people often cry when listening to Whitney, even when the song itself isn't sad. Her voice activates emotion without manipulation. It opens human hearts, softens defenses, and brings buried feelings to the surface gently. In spiritual terms, this is sometimes described as heart activation. In psychological terms, emotional resonance. In musical terms, impeccable phrasing and breath control. Different languages, same effect. Whitney didn't need to explain anything. Her voice carried the message intact. Whitney's life contained pain, contradiction, and struggle, and it's important not to romanticize that. But her difficulties don't undermine her gift. If anything, they remind us that spiritual sensitivity often comes with vulnerability, and it's strengthened during difficult times. Being open enough to transmit beauty, especially in the darkest moments, also requires being open enough to feel deeply. What matters is not the perfection of the vessel, but the purity of what came through it. And what came through Whitney Houston's voice continues to heal, uplift, and connect people across generations and cultures. Whitney Houston's magic. Conclusion. Whitney didn't just sing songs. She transmitted something through sound. A sense of devotion, a memory of faith, a reminder that love, when expressed clearly, becomes the biggest force in the universe, the greatest force in the universe. If you've ever felt moved by Whitney Houston's voice in a way you couldn't explain, this is why. And if this episode helped you name something you always felt, then you were already listening at the right depth. If you like this episode, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more on music and other magical topics. Thank you very much for listening, and till next time.